Marty O. Back already after doing Stephen's birthday. We're now continuing with normal programs, and today it's album ranking. It's not an album ranking, it's an EP ranking, and it's part 8 of the John Mitchell story. We've nearly finished John now. I just wanted to do a little thing on some of his EPs because it includes 2 arena EPs that none of the songs are on their albums. So I thought I'd throw a few others in as well. There's a couple of bits and bobs on here that are really worth a listen if you like John Mitchell stuff. So I've got 5 for you. So coming in at number 5, now this was released in 1997 and it's the Cry box set, which is from Arena. Now the easiest way to tell you about this one, on the album Crying Songs from the Lion's Cage and Pride, there's a song called Crying for Help, and there's various parts to it. So what they done in 1997, they put it all together and added some new bits in it to make this little EP. So appearing on here is John Mitchell on guitars, Clive Nolan on the keyboards and backing vocals, Paul Wrightson on the vocals, John Jowett on the bass, Mick Pointer on drums, and Steve Rothery is a guest appearance on one of the tracks. So basically this is Crying for Help, just all stuck together to make like this little mini EP. So the first there is just a new piece called Theme. It's a Clive Nolan keyboard thing, really good. I like that, that's pretty good. Then the second track is called The Cry. Yeah, again, it's just very clever how they've integrated all these pieces of the song that was in 5 or 6 parts. It's quite nice guitar work, great vocal from Paul. Then we get The Offering. This is my sort of favourite bit of this. It's got that sort of Elizabethan, and I don't mean the late Queen, the first Queen Elizabeth. It's got that sort of harpsichord sort of sound to it. It's really good, I like that. Problem Line, it's a great piece of work from Clive. It's a variation of the tune of this song, For Crying Out. Shall we start again? For Crying for Help. It's really good. Then we get Isolation, so gentle and relaxing. Some great guitar work from John. Then we get Fallen Idols, very similar to Isolation, but a bit more keyboard in this time. Guidance, favourite track on here. It's so atmospheric, unbelievable. Only Child, love Paul's vocal on this, so daunting and solitary. Stolen Promise. Love the harpsichord sound on this. Lots of flutes on this. Amazing keyboard from Clive. It's an absolute amazing piece of music. Then we get a new track, a proper new track, and it's called The Healer. I think that on this, although I love that, I do love Isolation. That this is brilliant. I love the texture on this. The Mick Pointer's drums sound fantastic. Some lovely guitar work from John as well. Okay, this is a little bit of a cheeky thing, really. I like the idea of it to extend that track. It's very relaxing in places. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 4. Now this is something that John done on his own. It's like it's a cover thing, and then he's called it the Nostalgia Factory, and he plays everything on here, and it's just some covers of some songs he likes. So the first one here is called the Nostalgia Factory, which is of course a Porcupine Tree out song off the Sunday of Life album. And John does a really good version of it. It's one of my favourite songs on the Porcupine Tree album, and he does a fantastic version of it. Really is. Then we get a song by Justin Hayward off one of Justin Hayward's solo albums, and it's called It Won't Be Easy. Now, I like this because John and Justin have got a very similar sort of vocal range. It's really, really good. I like that song. I like that song anyway, and John does a great version of it. Then we get Take Me Home, which is of course a track off the album No Jacket Required by Phil Collins. I'd say it's the weaker of the tracks on this little EP. It's good, but not as good as Phil's. Then we get C'est La Vie, of course, from ELP. And I think John does the great version of it. This is the best song on this album. I like the strings that he's added in, the keyboard strings. It's a really nice version of it, and John sang it well. Okay, I think this has got some interesting covers on it. It's not the usual thing you expect, and I think John did a great job on this. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, then coming in at number 3. Now this is an EP that is entitled The Kite Experiment, and the EP is called Atmospherics, and it came out in 2021. Joining John Mitchell on here are Craig Blundell as ever and Chris Hargrave on the guitar. First track on here is called Temple Road. Now this has got a bit of an electronic start, but it pans out really into a good sort of neo-prog track. Craig's drumming as ever, brilliant. Really good song when it starts. At the start it's a little bit too electronic, but bear with it if you listen to it. Then we get the bridge. This is a great atmospheric track. Some lovely piano here. There's no John just plays piano and vocal on this. He doesn't play his guitar. That's really good. Some really nice touches on the piano from John, like that one. Then we get Alpha Omega. This is a typical sort of John Mitchell composition. Nice vocals from him as ever. The guitar work from Chris is great. Just a really good track. And then we get Domus, my favourite track on this EP. I think what the highlight of this is actually Craig's drumming. There's some nice little riffs here from Chris Hargrave. It's a very underrated track from a very underrated EP. And then the last track is called The Long Roads. One of the gentler tracks on here. It's very nice and ambient and very, very pleasant. I think this is a very pleasant little EP from John. There's nothing wrong with it. I quite like listening to it actually. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, number 1 and 2 are actually 2 EPs that came out at the same time as the Contagium album from Arena in 2003. And this one, coming at number 2, is Contagious, which is 4 completely new tracks and a remix of another. And what you can do with these, there's a multimedia thing on the CD, and it tells you how to put them all together, all 2 EPs and the album, and how they flow. But I haven't never done that. So on here we've got Clive Nolan on the keyboards, Mick Pointer on the drums, Rob Snowden on vocals, John Mitchell on guitars of course, and Ian Salmon on the bass. First track on here is called Vanishing Act. Like the start of this, it's just John and Clive having a bit of fun, interplay. Some great drumming from Mick on this. It's a really good track. I Spy. This is a great vocal from Rob Snowden. One of the best vocals that he done in these recording sessions, I think. And guitar solo from John is absolutely top drawer stuff. Love this track. Then we got the title track of this EP, Contagious. Love the start of this. It's quite eerie. You get an air raid warning from World War II, a great bass line from Iain Salmon, mixed drums come in. It's just such an eerie track. That's fantastic. The Hourglass. Some of this is Clive Nolan at his best. Some great keyboard runs, a lovely acoustic guitar on this one, and Rob's vocals are just tremendous on that. Then we have the blip on the album, I'd say, and it's Witch Hunt Special Remix. Yeah, it's a great track, but they decided to turn it into a dance track. Stop it! We don't need that. You're a prog band. Shouldn't even be on here. It's the total blip on the album. Let's see, EP. Apart from the Witch's Hunt, which is a pile of pants, the rest of the EP, is brilliant. If you love Arena, you're going to love this. Absolutely great little EP this is. And I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.4. So the number one is the other EP called Contagium. I think I never can pronounce these right. So it's the same lineup: Rob, John, Clive, Iain and Mike. But here we've got the March of the Time Choir, which is Les Wardell, Chaz Allen, Mark English, Paul Bro, John Strandlin, Michael Lev, Olga Otten and Sean Robert. First track on this one is called On the Edge of Despair. This is one of them great arena tracks. Starts off very progressive, electric guitars come in, great vocal from Rob, and then you've got more great interplay between John, Clive and Rob on this. They sort of take it in turns. Absolutely brilliant. Then we get the March of Time. Now this, I'd say, is my favourite track of all of this sort of period. How it didn't get on the album, I don't know, but it's absolutely brilliant. It's got some of the best guitar work from John on these sessions. Mixed drumming on this is absolutely fantastic. It's so ambient. What a brilliant track. Then we get Confrontation. Again, it's got one of my favourite guitar solos from John Mitchell on this. Of these sessions, absolutely dynamite, and a great bass line as well. Love this track. Then we get a special remix of Salamander. It's not so bad. It's a little bit better than Witch Hunt. There's none of this dance stuff. It sort of resembles Salamander, which is a great track anyway. But like, you know, I don't know why they put this on and did a remix of it, but it's pleasant enough to listen to. Okay, out of all the two EPs, I prefer this one because I think this has got the stronger tracks on it, and it's got my favourite track of the album and the two EPs. I think it should have been on the album itself, but this is excellent. It's just great arena. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.5. So technically that's the end of the John Mitchell story, but we've got one more part because he took part in a band called Legacy Pilots, and it's the who's who of prog, modern prog. So we're going to have that'll be the last part next week. Okay, one more show to do today, and it's one of my favourite shows, the classic album. And we've got a really good one for you today from the ex-guitarist of Procol Harum, Mr. Robin Trower, or Trower, depends how you pronounce it. And the album that they say that was his breakthrough album as a solo artist, The Bridge of Sighs, which is a fantastic album. So join me for that later. So bye for now.